Hey, what's happening everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon Go video. Alright, so today I have some really good news that I wanted to share. Recently it was discovered that for all of the raid bosses in Pokemon Go, they now have 33% less health. So that means they're going to be much easier for you to take them down. This was something that was being reported by the Pokemon Go community. A lot of players after the recent update were saying that raid battles were being taken down a lot faster than usual, and some players were suspecting that Niantic quietly nerfed all of these raids. So one of the players actually tested this out, and they reported their findings over on the Silph Road Reddit, and yeah, it's essentially confirmed. There's a whole bunch of raid bosses that are now much easier as a result of this quiet change that Niantic implemented. I really cannot emphasize how much of a big deal this is, because there's a lot of players out there who struggle to take down different raid bosses, and the reason for that is numerous, whether it be because they live in rural areas, or they just simply do not have a lot of players around them, or it's because they prefer solo content. They just do not have what it takes to find raid groups, and they just do not want to engage in that kind of gameplay. I think that for a lot of these players, there's a lot more of the game that is now opening up for them, because when it comes to certain legendary raid bosses, they are essential for different content like PvP and with other raids, as well as with Team Go Rocket battles, and now you're going to be able to get a lot of those legendary raids because raids are going to be much easier. Think about this, there's a lot of legendary raids out there that you cannot duo or solo, and the reason for that is because these Pokemon have an exorbitant amount of health. But now some of these Pokemon are going to go from a trio to a duo, which means more players are going to be able to take them down. And I think this is going to be a very positive thing for the longevity of Pokemon Go, because when it comes to all different aspects of gameplay, having more legendaries in your collection means you're going to be able to get ahead, especially for things like the Master League in the Go Battle League. I think one of the biggest hurdles with that league is the fact that it requires so many different maxed out legendaries, and a lot of players struggle to get those legendaries simply because it's so difficult to take down those raids. But now it's going to be a lot easier for them, and that means there's going to be a lot more players who are going to be able to engage with PvP because they have a lot more Pokemon in their collection, and they're able to take down more raid bosses so that they can get the XL candies, so that they can max out those legendaries in order to actually use them within the Master League. There's just a lot of implications behind this that players need to recognize. This is a very positive change, and I really hope it ends up being something that is permanent. Now, another very positive implication behind this is that certain raid bosses that are highly valuable are now going to be much more easily farmable. And the reason why I say that is because when it comes to things like the Wednesday raid hours as well as special raid days, there's going to be a lot of players out there who are going to try to complete as many raids as they possibly can. But now that these raids are much easier, you can complete a lot more raids within the limited amount of time, and that means you're going to be able to get more XL candies, you're going to have higher chances at getting 100% IVs. This is definitely going to allow a lot more players to do more content in Pokemon Go, which ultimately means Niantic is going to see a bump in revenue as well, because ultimately what this means is that hardcore raiders are going to need more raid passes because they're going to be able to do more raids. Now, I think what's interesting is that this actually is a bit counter to some of the things that I've heard from Michael Staronka, the game director of Pokemon Go. He stated in the past that what he wants to see is a bit of a limitation on raid battles so that there is not a huge saturation of legendaries within a single player's collection. And I could totally understand that. I mean, if they want to create longevity with these legendary raids, then they need to make sure that players get 100% IVs at a much slower rate. But this is seemingly a big counter to that philosophy, and it almost makes me suspicious that this is an unintended change, which I really hope it is not. I mean, if it ends up being an unintended change, then we could foresee that Niantic is going to revert this change very quickly, and I would really hate to see that happen because of just how positive this is for the entire Pokemon Go community. But it is something that Niantic has done in the past. They've done very positive changes, it created a lot of quality of life within Pokemon Go, and then much later on down the road, they would revert these changes because it was not an intended change. So I really hope this is not going to be one of those cases. If it ends up being an unintended change, I hope it ends up producing more positive results so that they end up keeping it in the game rather than taking it away. I mean, there are definitely instances where Niantic has kept a lot of things in the game that were unintended, mainly because they were very positive for the Pokemon Go community. Think about the quick catch method. That was actually originally a bug within Pokemon Go, but now it is a staple form of the gameplay, and most hardcore players actually utilize it. So I really hope this is going to be one of those instances where it is a positive thing and Niantic sees just how much it makes the quality of life of the game that much better. So a lot more players will want it to stay in the game. Like I've been saying, there's just so many positive implications behind this change, and I really do hope this is one of the things that Niantic keeps in the game because, yeah, hardcore players are going to be able to farm up raids a lot easier. There's going to be a lot more rural players who now have access to different legendary raids, and then of course, this will in turn create more excitement around PvP. And I do think that overall, this is the kind of thing that Niantic needs to do a lot more of. Create more opportunities for quality of life improvements, rather than slowly taking things away after they implement them, because that is what draws a lot of negativity for this game, and I think it's about time Niantic did a lot more positive things. This is definitely one of those positive things, and we need to give credit where credit is due. If Niantic makes this a permanent feature, then we have to say that they did a really good thing for the entire Pokemon Go community. But yeah, in any case, that's essentially going to be it for this video. I would definitely like to know your thoughts regarding this change down below. Are you excited about raid battles being a lot easier? Do you think Niantic needs to do more? Or do you feel like, well, this is just something that you just simply will not care about? I would like to know all the reasons why in the comments down below. And yeah, let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you ended up enjoying it and found it to be informative and insightful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And also don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, the best way you could do so is by joining my Patreon. If you become a paid Patreon member, like the people you're going to see at the bottom of your screen, you're going to get a permanent spot on my in-game Pokemon Go friends list. So for stuff like remote raids and the friendship system, if you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel in a very different way, you could do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. With all that said, that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.
진솔아와 함께해